So I'm going to paint with the canopy off, but I've decided I'm going to glue the windscreen in because I've done another dry fit and it's flush, but this side seems to have a bit of a gap. So I'm going to glue it in. If I glue it, I don't think there will be a gap. I can pull it down. But if I put it in later after it's all painted and glue it and pull it down, it's going to make a mess, so I don't want that. So I've put in the instrument panel combing. This time I've airbrushed in khaki, which is what they call out for, so it's a different colour to what I did inside, but I'm not phased by that. It'll be alright. Put in the lens. I've put a bit of clear green in there. Not heavily, but it's got a tint of green. Alright, so I'm going to put this on. You can see I've just cut my own masks for the windscreen. I can't show it how I do it, but because the light's too bright with that. This old, you can see I've done it a few thousand times. Crappy old, I should clean that, eh? Fluoro light. Put your tape on, turn the light on, and when you look through, sit the clear part on top of that light. It's extremely bright, and you'll see the frame, and then you just run sharp blade, Stanley knife with the sharp razor blade, and just cut it like that. I actually find that relaxing. But these days I've been buying mask sets because I'm getting lazy, I guess. Alrighty, so I'm doing, I think I've mentioned this scheme, the same scheme, just different aircraft numbers, but it's the same year and it's on the same aircraft carrier, so it doesn't matter which number. I have no idea if there's anything specific about the numbers they've chosen here or what. I'll probably just do aircraft number 100. So as mentioned, I like Hi-vis schemes. So insignia white with the gull grey on top, and this one has international orange. But let me grab the decals and some paint. Okay, so I looked that up. FS12197 is international orange, but I'm just going to open it up and you can see, to my eyes, that looks, it's not international orange because that's international orange, so they're not orange. So I'm going to mix orange with red to try and get somewhere in the ballpark, because the markings of that colour, which is the same colour as, let me get the aerial or the above view, the wing tips and the horizontal stabilizer tips are international orange, and the stabilizers on the belly are the same colour. So it's no good me painting them that and then I put the decals on and it'll clash, so I've sort of got to try and get it somewhere in the vicinity. So what I'm going to do is glue that in, mask off the rest of it there, and I've got all my other parts ready to prime, all the stabilizers and the wings. I'll prime some things up and I'll show you what method I'm doing for the painting. Alright, I want to add something to the base. I don't really have time to wait for a patch to come from America because I wouldn't be able to get this patch from Australia. So I've just downloaded the image of a patch, and I'm using Lightburn software. I'm going to use my laser engraver. So that's the Fighting 114 aardvarks. It's come from a coloured file, but it'll be obviously engraved black. So that's the image. I've set the size. I've got my piece of wood in there ready to go. I'll watch it burn. Alright, just let me turn off the air. Alright, that's better. So it's not good as a patch, obviously, but it's something that is going to add a bit of visual interest to the base. I'll stain that and varnish it so it'll look a little bit better than that. And I'll sand it down or trim it up so it's a bit more squared up. Yeah, so amazing technology. I love watching stuff like that. Right, so this has been primed with Mr. Finishing Surface of 1500, so it's heavily thinned, I've mentioned before. Alright, so the stabilizers are white with the insignia, or the insignia orange, international orange, sorry, but I have to mix it like I said. So I'm going to start, this is my base primer. I'm going to pre-shade the panel lines with a grey, not a really dark grey. I don't do, if I'm doing white, so this scheme is insignia white. If I'm using white, I don't pre-shade with black, just for the fact that you'll need more layers of white to cover the black. So I'm going with a grey, no particular reason. It's just that's RLM 74 dark grey. It's just a medium to dark grey. I've already mixed some up, but it's been sitting in here a while because I had to do something else. But here we go. Yeah, that's a bit heavy. That's alright, I can fix that up. This is awkward because this is not how I would normally airbrush. I'm holding it for the camera. Basically, I'm just going over where there's rivet details and panel line details. That's the basics of the pre-shading. That's the first step. Now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to pause this and we'll come back for that part. Alright, I'm going to use Scour. You've seen me use before. So that's 3M Scour. It's too thick, so you just peel it. Alright, again, this isn't how I normally airbrush because I'm trying to hold it and show it. So this time it's just a random grey. It's in between. It's lighter than the pre-shading, but darker than the primer. All I want is a different colour going on. Let me hold that up. Let's check. So it hardly came through then. What I'm going to do is sit that there so I can free my hand up. Alright, so breaking it up, what I want to do is I'm breaking up the insignia white top coat so it looks different hues. So this is a type of weathering for me before painting. So it's when I put the insignia white down, it'll all look different depending what angles you look at it. Again, you can use whatever colors you want. You can use black. It just means, like I said, more white to lay down to get it to where it looks good. Good. You can do as little or as much as you want, as many colors as you want. I prefer this over the marbling technique where you come in and you start real close and you just keep squiggling around building up layers. That takes If I was doing the whole aircraft, it'd take hours. As you saw, that it only took a couple of minutes. It's a different effect, but sort of similar as to how the top coat will look. So you saw I kept moving it around to get the best paint flow through it. Just using this technique, be careful after a while when you keep spraying it, the paint that sticks to the scourer builds up and it'll come through and it'll touch on your model. That's pretty dry. I mean, it's pretty warm as usual here at the moment, so that's that. I'm going to pause again and I'll spray down some white. Alright, Signia white. You can, this paint's meant to be just sprayed neat out of the bottle, but I thin it for the reason of my climate, humid and hot. A bit of thinner in there helps. And if you're going to spray neat paint, even though that's thin, you're going to cover up the previous effects easy, and you might obliterate some of it that you don't want to. So thinning it down just helps for me to just build it up slowly. Alright. Alright, I can sit there and bore you to death so you can see the gist of it. You see I move around, do an area, let that dry. It doesn't take, I can tell you the heat I'm experiencing. Go to another area, come back if I need to cover it more. Obviously, the less you put on, the dirtier the aircraft looks. Or you want it more subtle. That's, I'm going to go more because I don't, my brain always tells me to, seems to go to a certain point and like, no, don't go any more. That's, it'll look off or whatever, but everyone's unique in how they like it. So we started with that and we're almost there. So I'm just showing this for ease because the fuselage is a big lump. It's everything else on the aircraft that's white is being done the same as I just showed you on this. So the Hi-vis red, orange, red will be over the white. That's a good primer for that color. And I've already done some effects there, but I may spray down that red and then do something over the top of that. I'll see when I get there. Alrighty, I've painted the white. At this stage I'm happy with it. It hasn't had a clear gloss coat yet. Once I lay that down, I'll look it over again and see how I feel about it. So that's the wing. So on the wings, next up I'll be masking off to do the international orange red combo, and we'll then I'll mask for the grey. I'll paint the grey last probably. With the scheme, be careful with your call outs, because on this image the aircraft is all white underneath, but it's not. It's so when you look at it from the underside, they're saying everything's white, but here it isn't. It's grey. I looked up images of the aircraft. I found some photos of the squadron back when they had this scheme, and that's grey. So the white comes down on the lip of the intake, and then you got the scallop, and that's grey, but that bit there is white as far as I can tell. So yeah, I would have thought these guys would have got that right, but I guess not. But on this image though, it does show grey on the sides, but you can't see the total up under. So yeah, but I guess with anything aftermarket, you should try and check references if you can. Alright, I've painted in my Hi-vis colour. What I've done, so I had the white, insignia white as base. I've come in again with the scourer and yellow. That one's school bus yellow, doesn't matter. Just to break up the top colour. So then ended up mixing these 50-50. Heavily thin, so I can build it up and show the yellow through, so it's like fading and worn, and the pre-shading still there as well underneath. So that is done. This scheme, so where the insignia white and the top gull grey meets the Hi-vis, there's a black strip. It is supplied as decals in the set, but I'll use Tamiya tape to mask it off, and I'll spray them in, and I'll use NATO black or something like that, a lighter black again to suggest fading. So the tail and the stabilizer on the belly also. So it's coming along slowly. Yes, I love Hi-vis scheme, and it looks better to me anyway, but it's also a lot more work because the masking off you need to do, especially this wing with all these panel lines. It's not just straight across. I got to follow those panel lines, so it's going to be a lot of cutting little squares of Tamiya tape and making sure I get that done right before I come in and do the grey.